And we're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Tuesday, March 10th. We have got now power conferences starting their tournaments today. Of course, in the Big 12, in the Big 10, and in the ACC tomorrow. Both the Big East and the SEC will join, start these conferences and starting their tournaments. But we've got a loaded day of college basketball today. I really like the slate of games. I know yesterday was brutal. We'll get to that in a second. I'm thinking at least 4-1 today, okay? At least we're hoping for it. I really like what we got today, and we shall see in a second. We're going to go over all 5 of these best bets, and of course, at the end of the video, we'll go over all the remaining conference tournaments we won't get a chance to go over with our best bets. Folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Obviously, we got best bets the entire week. We don't have anything going on Monday, but we will go over the entire round of 68, or we'll just go over the entire 68-team bracket on Monday, preparing ourselves, obviously, for the NCAA tournament on Tuesday, and then we'll have best bets through April, as that's, how far the college basketball season will take us. And of course, daily on the channel as well, our NBA best bets, so go make sure to check those out later today on the channel as well. And on Greedo Plays MMA, our UFC fight night Emmett versus Viejos. Full card predictions from the UFC Apex. Again, those are on Greedo Plays MMA, linked in the description down below. Go subscribe over there if you have not yet, and obviously hit that subscribe button down below on the main channel, Greedo Plays as well. Yesterday, 1-4, yikes. The parlay, Alabama State as a 6.5 point favorite loses. Robert Morris, it didn't matter at that point, but they lost too, so that was awesome, wasn't it? I don't got words. Alabama State just sucked the entire game. Robert Morris was up big, found a way just to completely choke in the second half. So thanks, guys. Way to play. You guys suck. The other games we had, shout out to Monmouth. Monmouth controls the game against Campbell. A little bit of a very slow start for both teams, but Monmouth wins and they advance to the CAA championship game against the Hofstra Pride. That's not going to be a best bet, but we will talk about it, of course, at the end of the video. SoCon championship game, ETSU just didn't come out to play. We've been thinking all year long the Buccaneers were going to win the SoCon. They show up for their SoCon title game and they say, you know what? We want to play in the NIT instead. So, whatever. Furman got hot from beyond the arc the entire night. East Tennessee didn't really play with any fire. It felt like Furman controlled it throughout. It is what it is. East Tennessee had an early lead. I think it was 7-4. I don't think they retook the lead from there on out. I'm pretty sure they didn't. Troy versus Georgia Southern. The 6 games in 6 days caught up to the Eagles. It's just the truth. I think they'll find themselves probably in the NIT or the probably the CBI, if I had to guess, if they want to play in that. It was a great run. They just run into a team that just was too good for them defensively. Troy hit some big-time threes from deep, and the Trojans are going to the NCAA tournament. That's going to be a difficult 14/13 seed to 14 seed to deal with. Oregon State, Gonzaga, just didn't score enough points. I don't know what to say. They play great defense. They just couldn't score enough. We'll have more on the Bulldogs later in the video. Okay, on to the first of our 5 best bets for today. We kick things off, yes, with another 2-leg parlay. Okay, if this does not hit, we're never doing this ever again. Okay, that's the truth. If we don't hit on this, we're not doing the parlays ever again. Yesterday was disastrous, so I'm going to try one more time. And I'm trying with 2 ACC games. We're kicking the day off with back-to-back ACC spots. This is before any other game for us does begin. We're going to have a game at 3:30 after these 2. But we're starting things off with a 2-leg ACC-only parlay. 2 teams that absolutely need to win. Okay? So yesterday, Santa Clara beating St. Mary's really shifts the bubble. Because there were some were under the opinion somehow that if St. Mary's if Santa Clara lost to St. Mary's yesterday, then there was many that were under the assumption, and ESPN's crew kind of felt that way. It felt like they thought that too when they were obviously broadcasting the game. They felt like maybe Santa Clara would be out then, which I think it's a damn shame that they had to beat St. Mary's. But picking up a quad 1 victory, Santa Clara, to me, isn't just in the tourney. They should skip Dayton entirely. There's no way you force that team to play in the first 4. They just picked up another quad 1 win. They've beaten St. Mary's twice this season, who's ranked in the top 25. That's a team that should be going straight into the tournament. Okay? New Mexico should be really happy too, because New Mexico beat Santa Clara earlier in the year, and they're on the bubble right now. But I don't see a world where Santa Clara is not in. Stanford and SMU right now are on the bubble. ESPN currently has Southern Methodist in. Stanford is currently out. So currently, I will go over the entire bubble. The last 4 buys, according to ESPN, is Santa Clara, Southern Methodist, VCU, and Auburn. I don't know how Auburn's still in this tournament. They lost again last weekend. I hope they lose their first SEC game, but it's a disgrace that team's in the tourney right now. First 4 out, Indiana, VTech, who plays today, Stanford, and New Mexico. Stanford gets an out, and Cincinnati's next 4 out? Are we serious? Whatever. They play today too. They should easily win. We'll go over the Big 12 tournament at the end of the video. Stanford needs to win. Southern Methodist needs to win. SMU, more of a point. Okay, if they win today, I think it's going to be hard for them to not be in the tournament if they win today. Sure, they're probably looking at Dayton regardless. But if Southern Methodist wins today, I think it's going to be hard for the committee to hold them out. They will get a Louisville game tomorrow, which, that's a top 24, that's a top 25 team in the country. That's a quad 1 game. If you lose it, it sucks, but I mean, it shouldn't bring you below Auburn. Stanford needs to win too in this tournament. It's not going to be good enough to just beat Pittsburgh. Obviously, they need to win this game, and we'll go over that in a second. But they need to win tomorrow against North Carolina State, which I will tell you is 100% possible. It just is. It's a very possible outcome that they could beat North Carolina State. They just went to Raleigh and beat them. And yes, we're back in North Carolina, not in Raleigh, now in Charlotte, but that's a winnable game for Stanford, and that's one we'll go over tomorrow. And when you have a player like Abuka Okori, yeah, you can beat a lot of teams in the country. So we had talked early in the year about Stanford's struggles on the road. They have completely turned that around their last 2 games. I mean, again, it's always just a case. Teams in the West Coast, the 2 teams in the West Coast that have to travel back and forth cross country in the coast-to-coast Atlantic Coast Conference, Stanford and Cal, are always going to play worse on the road. Because, I mean, all those miles are going to catch up to you. Being on a plane for that long, for that many consecutive games is going to catch up to you. Stanford, their final 2 games, they absolutely needed to win on the road, and they did it. They go to Raleigh and win. Game prior to that, they go to South Bend and win. So you can't let your season end against Pittsburgh. You can't say, oh, we're going to go to the college basketball crown now. This is a must-win, obviously, game for Stanford before likely another must-win game tomorrow against North Carolina State. We will cross that bridge when we get there. Because, again, it is a winnable game tomorrow for Stanford against NC State. But you can't overlook Pittsburgh. All I will say is Stanford, as long as they put up 75 points, they're going to win. Pittsburgh doesn't score. These 2 teams just met about a week and a half ago. It was in Palo Alto. Stanford won 75-67. The way these 2 teams play, Stanford needs to push. They need to push all game long. Pittsburgh has no way of keeping up with this team. Stanford is high scoring when they want to be. Abuka Okori, Benny Gieler, Chizumak Para out, obviously. But if Stanford wants to run, they 100% can, and they need to this game. Pittsburgh will not be able to keep up with a high-paced Stanford scoring offense. Abuka Okori back-to-back games, 24 and 33 points in must-win road games against Notre Dame and North Carolina State. This is another must-win game, and yes, Stanford is going cross-country for this tournament. It is in North Carolina. But I mean, Pittsburgh's season has been over for months at this point. Pittsburgh has nothing to play for. There's a couple good players in this team, I will say. I've been really impressed with Roman Sapula all year long. I know he's been off and on, but he's been good the games I've seen. Cameron Corrin is their leading scorer, averaging 13 points per night. Barry Dunning averages 13 as well, but this team is obviously nowhere near the level of the Stanford Cardinal. These 2 teams obviously only met once in the regular season. It was at the Farm, and Stanford was able to win it by 8. This is all going to come down to how quick Stanford's able to play against Pittsburgh. It's the first game of the ACC tournament. Stanford absolutely needs to come out here and prove a point. They need to win, and it's, again, survive and advance in March. They need to win today, and they need to win tomorrow. If they can beat North Carolina State, I'm willing to say I think Stanford is in the NCAA tournament. But you got to win 2 in 2 days. And then, you get Virginia after that. If you can beat Virginia, great. Maybe you get, they won't skip out on Dayton, but, you need to win these next 2. It starts today. Pittsburgh has nothing for Stanford, in my opinion. Abuka Okori single-handedly is going to win this game. He's going to score 35 is my guess. Stanford wins. That's the first leg of the parlay. Second leg of the parlay is another team that absolutely needs to win too. SMU with a loss here drops out of the tournament. So, we just need 2 teams today to actually care about making the NCAA tourneys, ultimately what this comes down to. Okay, Southern Methodist wins today. They're in. Doesn't matter what they do tomorrow. They could go, of course, and lose to Louisville. It is what it is. You lose to Louisville, that's a top 25 team. That'd be a quad 1L. That's not going to kick you out of the tourney. Southern Methodist would love to win that game, but they have found themselves in a bubble that they didn't think they were going to be in a couple weeks ago before consecutive L's has put them here. You go to the Bay Area, you lose back-to-back games in Berkeley and in Palo Alto. You lose to both Cal and Stanford back-to-back. The Cal game 4-point loss, okay. You go to Stanford and lose by 20 points. Miami comes into town. Miami beats you. Miami can't miss a 3. Then you go to Tallahassee to close the regular season. You lose 91-78 to Florida State. So you are given a gift now. Somehow you are still in the bubble. And sure, 2 wins gets you out of Dayton, but you got to get in somehow. A win over Syracuse puts you right into the first 4 automatically. A loss here, and yes, you're going to Las Vegas for the college basketball crown. That's how the season's going to go for Southern Methodist. Their season comes down to 1 game. You just need to get by a Syracuse Orange team that I'd argue has been dysfunctional most of the season, and you just need to win. We don't care about points in either of these games. Why? Because these are survive and advance games for both teams. They don't care about how many points they win this by. They are looking to win the game by 1. That's the only thing that matters. Syracuse has not been good. I know they beat SMU earlier this year in the JMA Wireless Dome in Syracuse, New York. I get it. It's the last game Syracuse has won up until this point. I don't think they can do it again. Syracuse has now lost 5 straight games, albeit Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest, Louisville, Pittsburgh. Still, they've lost 5 in a row. Southern Methodist in an absolute must-win spot. I think they get it done. We just need SMU to limit the turnovers. They have lost 4 games in a row, but if they can limit the turnovers here, they should be fine. Boopy Miller, obviously the leading scorer, averaging 20 per night. Jerron Pierre, the former Jacksonville State Gamecock, averaging 17.5. BJ Edwards, their big Samet, the Turkish player, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Turkey, right? From Istanbul, 7'2" big. Samet Itajolu. They've got players. They should not lose to Syracuse. Again, both these teams, Stanford and Southern Methodist, the goal is simple. Stanford's more complicated, but regardless, either team, both these teams need to be crappier teams today. They should get it done. They should. I don't see how either of them lose in a must-win spot, because if they don't, I'm automatically out of the tourney. There's no wiggle room for SMU. You lose this game, I think you're bumped. You can't lose to a Syracuse team. You lose here, you're getting bumped for VTech wins today, you're getting bumped for VTech. If VTech beats Wake Forest, which they should, there you go. VTech needs help to get in this tournament, right? Because even if VTech beats Clemson tomorrow, like, are they in? I don't know. But SMU loses, VTech beats Wake, VTech's a tournament team, Southern Methodist isn't. That's the absolute truth to it. So I'm going SMU here to win. And by the way, Stanford VTech kind of in the same spot. We shall see. Obviously, again, it may come down to both of those teams who can win tomorrow. Can Stanford beat NC State? Can VTech beat Clemson? We shall see. If they both win, then it's okay. Who can win the next round? I mean, that's how this thing's really playing out for all 3 of these teams in the first round playing today. We expect VTech to win. We expect Stanford to win. We expect SMU to win. We're not picking the VTech game. But it's legitimately going to come down to, at least for Stanford and VTech, both of them, who can survive longer than the other. SMU just needs to win tonight and they're in. So I'm going to SMU, Stanford, plus 115, 2-leg parlay. If this does not cash, we are done doing parlays for the rest of the year. So that's how that works. Move on now to our second best bet of the video, and we go to the Conference USA for the Missouri State Bears and the Florida International Panthers. So the CUSA also begins their conference tournament today. They start their conference tourney with all the big tournaments. I guess like the Big West tomorrow, but we'll get into that when we get there, and the MEAC for that matter. But anyways, we get going on the CUSA tournament today. It is the play-in round, essentially, of the CUSA bracket. Tomorrow we get those, big, I guess, powerhouses start playing in Liberty, Sam Houston, then WKU plays the day after. But today, 2 play-in round matchups, if you want to call it that, as Florida International is going to play Missouri State. FIU is the 8 seed, Missouri State's the 9, and then the other games, Jacksonville State and New Mexico State later in the day. That's actually at even money too, but we're not going to play that game. I'm taking the slight underdogs here in Missouri State to beat FIU. Neutral site game, obviously, with it being a conference tournament over in Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah, I like the Missouri State Bears here. So I know FIU won the last game these two teams played, and Missouri State was on a pretty big losing streak for a while, and we picked against them when they played Western Kentucky. And of course, as they do, they hadn't won a game since January. They lost 8 in a row, but they randomly beat WKU, and then they had another home game against Middle Tennessee, who's like the 6th seed in this bracket, and they lost at home. So of course, just why not? Why not? But I will tell you, I was very impressed with Missouri State against WKU. I don't know what the hell happened in the Middle Tennessee game. It looked, from what I saw, it felt like a very uninspired effort out of Missouri State. It felt like their Super Bowl legitimately was just the Western Kentucky game, and it was a team that just legitimately came out for the Middle Tennessee game and looked uninterested in playing basketball. That was my assessment of watching Missouri State and Middle Tennessee. Big Mike is solid. That's their best player, I would say. Palak. It's either Keith Palak or Big Mike, but as the hometown announcers over at Missouri State call him Big Mike, they just call him that because his full name is Michael Osei Bonsu. Again, we're just going to call him Big Mike. He's their best guy, I can say. He's listed at 6'4". I can't imagine he actually is 6'4". That's what ESPN has him listed as. I'm going to check Missouri State's actual website for this because I can't. This guy's not 6'4". Regardless, though, He's the best player on this team, in my opinion. He's the most impactful player. Like, yes, Keith Palak does a lot for this team, and he does score quite a bit. But again, the most influential player on this team is going to be Big Mike. He lives around the rim, easy putbacks all game long. He is a dominant guy who's going to back you down. He's really only 6'4". That's what Missouri State's website actually has. Are we serious? He does not seem like he's 6'4". Again, he plays bigger than I guess he actually is. Yet everyone has him 6'4". Wow. I mean, again, he plays the forward for this team. He's 6'4", 280. I like, he seems like he's 6'6", but I mean, I guess this is a big talking point that he actually is 6'4". I mean, this is like he's got the Charles Barkley build going on, but even obviously crazier. Anyways, again, he's their center, and he's 6'4". So yes, Missouri State is very undersized, but it doesn't matter, because again, we watched that Western Kentucky game, and Big Mike is just owning the paint. He has 16 and 6 in that game. And again, I would say he's the most influential player on the team. He gets them second chance opportunities. He's a big dude. He's 6'4", 280 pounds, which of course, like, in normal life, obviously, that's kind of what you would expect out of us. Well, that's what a 6'4", 280, it is what it is. Like, that's, I'm trying to put this like in UFC comparison. Like 6'4", 280, that's just like if Alex Pereira just got like a little bit bigger, obviously, and just, I guess just started gaining weight. Like, that's not a crazy amount, though, for a 6'4" human, right? You just consider, again, but basketball, 6'4", obviously you're a guard, but obviously Big Mike's just the exception to that. Again, he plays center. Keith Palak is their 4, who's 6'9". He's their best scorer, averages 18 points per game. But Big Mike is going to play the center. I think he's a JUCO product, if I'm not mistaken. It's either JUCO or like a D2 level. I think it was JUCO, though, and just continued to play center at Missouri State, and they've just rolled with it. Cool. Florida International has been a very mid team. They're a 50-50 team. They trade wins and losses all the time. I don't think they beat Missouri State in this third matchup. These two teams split in the regular season. The game at Missouri State was won by the Bears. Then when they played over in Miami, FIU won the contest. That was just recently, right? A 3-point victory for the Panthers. I think Missouri State gets this third matchup. FIU is coming off a blowout victory against WKU, which again is surprising because both these teams were able to just blow out Western Kentucky. I just think Missouri State's more well equipped to win this one. I know they went through a bunch of losses in a row, but I mean, the Western Kentucky game and how they came out in that one, just the consistent scoring out of this team really gives me hope for this matchup too. And I know, again, yes, FIU's coming off their own victory where they dominated WKU, and maybe Western Kentucky, you know what, maybe they just suck now. But the way FIU plays defensively the way FIU plays offensively matches up well for the defense, I think, of Missouri State. Yeah, Missouri State's a little bit undersized, but they are able to double in the paint if they need to. Again, if Big Mike obviously does not have height on centers, and they are able to bring Palak in. They do have, again, this is not a completely undersized team. It's just their center, yes, is a 6'4", 280 guy. And that's just how they are. I think they come back and win this game, though. Yes, again, they went through a stretch where they lost 7 straight games, and of course they beat Western Kentucky, and they just didn't look like they wanted to be there on their senior day game against Middle Tennessee State. I think they will be refocused for this matchup in the Conference USA tournament. Obviously, this is win or go home. I think I think Missouri State's able to overcome that Middle Tennessee loss, and I do believe they beat FIU. The Panthers are led in scoring by Corey Stevenson. He's a senior out of Alabama, averages 18 points per game. He's had a good run at FIU, obviously, just this season because he played at C-Sub last year. Bakersfield lost a lot of talent, obviously, and that's why they were just awful this year in the Big West. But Corey Stevenson has had a good season for the Panthers. Beyond him, though, I don't love it. I don't love what FIU does. They're not the best three-point shooting team. I mean, they'll attempt threes, but, again, Corey Stevenson is not a bad statistical three-point shooter. It's just these guys don't sit at the three-point line all game, beyond the three-point arc all game long. Their one volume three-point shooter, I will say, is Julian Mackey. He's the only guy that I think is going to shoot, if I had to guess, is going to shoot more than 5 three-pointers today. It's only going to be him. The rest of these guys, they'll attempt 2 or 3, and they're not horrible statistical shooters. It's just not ultimately where FIU wants to get all of their buckets. So I'm going to go with Missouri State here. I'm going to go with Missouri State. They are slight underdogs in this game, and that's okay. I think they go out and win the contest. I just believe what they're able to do offensively is going to damage FIU, and obviously what FIU is able to do offensively, I think, again, it fits right into how Missouri State wants to play you. I think, again, this is a team that is somewhat decent perimeter-wise. Interior-wise, yes, they're giving up size or height, but they're not that horrible at the same time. And, again, you got a guy in Big Mike who's 6'4", but the vert seems fine. He's still able to get rebounds. And, again, they went on their big losing streak. What I will say, and we were, again, a little bit cautious going to the WKU game, and we still took the Hilltoppers, I won't lie to you, but a lot of Middle Tennessee Zells were really close games. A lot of games where they're losing by 4 points, losing by 3 points. And yes, that last matchup between FIU and Missouri State was a 3-point victory for the Panthers. I do believe Missouri State's able to overcome that in this matchup. That first game, too, Missouri State just got it to such a horrible start. They scored 22 points in the first half. And that entire game, they're trailing and trying to take the lead. They tie the game up with 17 seconds left, and then FIU hits a game-winning three. I mean, again, they were in it the entire way until FIU wins it at the buzzer. So I'm going to go Missouri State. I think they do have a much better much better time against FIU this time out. And again, Big Mike in that second matchup against FIU had a decent game, had 12 rebounds. That was not a problem. Again, him being shorter was not a problem the second time around and the first time out against FIU either. So I'm going to go with Big Mike and Keith Palak III to beat FIU. Also something to note, Palak had an awful game the last time they played. FIU had 8 points on 2 of 11 shooting and 0 for 5 from beyond the arc. So I do think it's a great bounce back spot for Missouri State. I think they get back in the win column before a huge matchup tomorrow against the Liberty Flames. We shall see about that one, but I'm going to go with Missouri State. The Bears pick up a win in the CUSA tourney, -105 again for Missouri State. On to our third best bet of the video, we move to the championship game in the West Coast Conference. So what Santa Clara did yesterday was guaranteed there is going to be a 3-bid WCC for, I believe, the 5th time in history. It's either the 4th or the 5th time in history, which is great because I love West Coast basketball. Santa Clara breaks in this year. They're finally in the tourney for the first time since, oh goodness, 93, I think it was. I can look this up. But yeah, it's been a while since Santa Clara has been in the NCAA tournament, and it looks like they're finally going to be there this season. Yeah, it was, I need to get it. When's the last time they were in the NCAA tourney? It was 1996. They won a first-round matchup against Maryland before losing to the Kansas Jayhawks. So it's been since 1996 in which this Santa Clara team has been to the tourney. They had a year where they had Brandon Pojemski, they had Jalen Williams, obviously, and they couldn't get to the tournament in either of those. Yes, they made the tournament when Steve Nash was at Santa Clara. Obviously, like J-Dub, he has his number retired in the Levy Center, up in the rafters of the Levy Center, obviously, with Santa Clara. But the Broncos have officially broken through. They are in the NCAA tournament, and I think they should skip Dayton outright. They should be a 10 seed. It's a damn shame if they make them play in the first 4. Don't get me wrong. The teams that they'd match up with in the first 4, I think Santa Clara probably beats all those teams. I'll just be honest with you. Like, even the ACC squads, I'm taking Santa Clara right now to beat SMU. I'm taking them if Stanford gets in or VTech. I'm taking them to beat both of those teams. Indiana gets in. I'm still taking Santa Clara to beat Indiana. I mean, again, I hope the Hoosiers get in the tournament just for the laughs and just so, okay, the thing is, Indiana's going to be tough in the first 4 just because Dayton's a home game for the Hoosiers. It's a 2-hour drive from Bloomington, but the last time Indiana was in the first 4, it was a majority Hoosiers crowd, and I got to imagine it's going to be the same exact way this year if the Hoosiers can get there. But again, Indiana needs to beat Purdue to get into the tournament, and before all that, they need to beat Northwestern, or Penn State, but likely be Northwestern tomorrow. I don't think the Hoosiers are getting in. But if they do, yes, they will be a difficult game in Dayton, but I'd still take Santa Clara to beat them. That's just kind of putting it into perspective where I believe the Broncos are at compared to all of these other teams on the bubble. So they should be automatically in the tournament, and they would give a 7-seed hell. Like, do not mistake that. They will give a 7-seed hell in the first round. Anyway, Santa Clara versus Gonzaga. I like the Broncos to cover 6.5 points. I know Gonzaga won both the games in the regular season. They split the covers, I guess. The game in Spokane, Santa Clara covered with a last-second back door. The second time out at the Levy Center, Gonzaga cleared the spread. They won by 8. I think Santa Clara gets it. I think they do. I think they cover this time around. Okay, this is a team that's playing with the utmost confidence right now. And if you watch that St. Mary's game in the second half, they figured out how to beat the Gales in the final 10 minutes of the game. They figured it out. All they needed to do was isolate the center. So the starting center for St. Mary's usually is Harry Wessels, right? Andrew McKeever has gotten benched throughout the season. He was originally supposed to be their guy. Well, McKeever's younger, but still, like, they want to play McKeever. It's just he hasn't been at the standards of Harry Wessels. Wessels got injured in yesterday's game, but he was good enough to play. They stuck with McKeever. Santa Clara figured out, okay, if we can go high pick and roll every single possession, we can force a switch and force McKeever to guard our point guard, which, again, usually that's Christian Hammond. Instead, Sash Galyulov, I'm just going to keep calling him Sash, their Bulgarian freshman, took over the game. Again, Christian Hammond's the point guard, but they went to Sash. Hammond's on the court. Hammond was very hesitant to shoot the ball all game long. And by the way, Santa Clara, they found a way to win, even though they shot 36% from the free throw line. They found a way to win. I don't know how they did it. They missed free throw after free throw, and I'll get into the ending of that game in a second. But Santa Clara figured out, okay, if we just go high pick and roll, we force the switch, okay, there's nothing that McKeever can do. He won't be fast enough to guard our point guard. Sash is going to blow by him, or Sash is going to get a spot-up three-point shot. And they kept on hitting it all game long. That was the second half. Anytime Santa Clara would score, okay, high pick and roll, we're going to come right back at you. Oh, okay, you bite up top, okay, McKeever comes up, all right, Sasha's going to blow right by him, easy lane. It's what Santa Clara continuously did that entire second half, and they end up beating the Gales. Now, the game comes down to the final possession. Santa Clara is up 2 points with legitimately 40 seconds to go. Okay, St. Mary's decides not to foul at 40 seconds. Santa Clara is still in the 1-1, and they are 5 for 13 shooting free throws at the time throughout the course of the game. And I think they had made only 2 in the entire second half. They're like 2 for 7 or 2 for 8 in the second half. St. Mary's decides we're going to play it out. We're not going to foul and save the time, considering they're still in a 1-1 and they've been horrible at shooting free throws all game long. St. Mary's says, no, we're going to play it out. We're going to try to get the ball back with 10 seconds and score. And what happens? High pick and roll. Sosh takes a very deep and somewhat contested 3-point shot as Joshua Dent, point guard, or 1/2 for St. Mary's, goes over the screen and just sticks with Sosh. Sosh hits one in his face. Game over. Questionable by St. Mary's. They're already in the tournament, obviously. Whatever, but it's a quad 1 win for Santa Clara, and now they have to get in the tournament. Now, how can they play Gonzaga? Here's the thing, guys. This might sound crazy. They should attack Graham Ike. That sounds insane, but they should absolutely do it. If they attack Graham Ike, they can win this game. Graham Ike will foul you. If Graham Ike gets beat, he fouls. We've seen it so many times this year. We've seen it in the Santa Clara game. We saw it multiple times when he played St. Mary's. Ike will get into foul trouble. He will foul you if you beat Ike off the dribble, and I think this is what they have to do today. They need to force Zaga to switch that. I mean, who's likely going to be on Sosh? I assume they're going to keep playing through Sosh and not Christian Hammond. Hammond will just be on the court. What, Adam Miller is going to be on Sosh? I think. I assume they're going to put Adam Miller on him. I think they have to. So Adam Miller is going to be on Sosh. Again, high pick and roll, force him to switch. Okay, now we drive. If Ike comes back and blocks you, sure. But again, we have Santa Clara, as long as Sosh can hit that deep 3, you force respect, then Ike comes up, then you drive right by him, and if Ike's out of position and he's late, he will foul. We've seen it all year long, and we've seen teams try to attack Ike and get him out of games. This is what happened in the second game between St. Mary's and Gonzaga, where in, obviously, Moraga, the Gales got Ike out the game because they kept going at him. And again, we've said it so many times this year, Zaga's overrated. I should have known better yesterday to not pick this team, but we did, and it didn't work for us. Ike has a good game, but Zaga scores 65. Santa Clara plays fast, they're going to win. My only concern is, how do they stop Graham Ike? Because they haven't had an answer so far in other games they've played against Gonzaga. That's why I'm not obviously taking the Broncos to win. We're going to take them to cover 6.5 points. They've struggled against Ike all year long. First matchup in Spokane, Ike has 34-11. Second matchup, he's got 21-15. They've really struggled against Ike this year because Santa Clara ultimately plays small. Alan Graves is their 5, but, well, it's Bucky, but they don't really want to play Bucky that much, and Bucky had nothing for Ike when they played last. So it will be Alan Graves, likely, who's a 6'9 freshman out of Louisiana. Was he Mr. Basketball in Louisiana? No, I don't think he was. Regardless, talented player, freshman, redshirt freshman out of Louisiana. Redshirt his freshman year, or his first year last season. I assume it's gonna be Alan Graves and Ike, which is fine. They just need to, I think, double Ike and say, all right, Saint Supri, go make shots. You know, they're gonna say, okay, Jalen Worley, go hit your shots. He's not gonna really shoot him. Adam Miller, go hit your shots. I got to imagine Davis Fogel, go beat us. I think that's how Santa Clara has to play. They have to play quick. They have to force Zaga to hit wide open threes and force anybody but Graham Ike to beat them. And again, on the offensive side of the ball, I really hope they just, and I get it, Ike is not Andrew McKeever. He's better than Andrew McKeever, obviously, and he's quicker than Andrew McKeever is. And Ike's used to playing 35 to 40 minutes per game, which again, McKeever had to do yesterday. But I really think if Santa Clara attacks Ike, they have it. I think they do. Because again, Gonzaga is not St. Mary's, obviously. They play differently. But Gonzaga is going to score 90 on you tomorrow? I know they can. They've done it before this season, but after they scored 65 yesterday and didn't really play that well, they played a slow game, but again, Zaga's not the best 3-point shooting team. If Santa Clara can get them in a boat race, there's a legitimate chance Santa Clara can win the WCC this year. And okay, you know how you make sure you don't go to Dayton? You win this. You win this, you can't play in Dayton. You're an AQ. So I'm going to go Santa Clara here. I'm going to go Santa Clara plus 6.5. I was very impressed with the second half performance. I know they're not, as a whole, a great free throw shooting team. There's no way they shoot 30% again, though. So I think that'll be better tonight. Again, Christian Hammond's been great all year long. I got to believe this has to be Sash Gavulov's game tonight. It has to be. Unless Christian Hammond can replicate what Sash was doing in the second half, which maybe they try, but I'm serious. They need their true freshman in Sash Gayulov. Actually, might be a redshirt. He's a redshirt. They need him to attack Graham Ike. It's going to be a bold move, but I think that's what you have to do in this spot. I'm going to take Santa Clara plus 6.5. I have gained a lot of confidence in this team by watching them play St. Mary's, and I think St. Mary's is phenomenal. I like Santa Clara, and they played great. They played very great defensively against St. Mary's as well. They will foul a lot. I'll tell you that. Santa Clara is going to hack like crazy, but it's okay. I think they're able to win this game. We're not even going to take that, though. We're taking them to cover. We're closing the night in the Big Sky. So back-to-back Big Sky games to close our day. We're going to start, obviously, with the first semifinal. So we're going to figure out what we believe the championship game is going to be. So 2 pick'ems, essentially, in the Big Sky today. Montana versus Portland State in our first game. Portland State is the number 1 seed in the Big Sky tournament. They have been the favorites to win this thing going into the tournament, I'd argue, since how Big Sky play started in the regular season. I gotta think Portland State's got to be the favorites. It has to be, or has been the favorite since regular season play has started, just because of Montana losing to Division II schools in their non-con schedule. Montana's really slow start. It feels like it's been Portland State's to win all year long. Montana, I will say, was the preseason favorite. You know, again, what they have. Money Williams is a phenomenal basketball player, but they have just underperformed all season long. So now here they are. Montana takes on Portland State. It does feel like this is the 2 best teams in the conference, and I know Montana hasn't, shown that all year long, but at this point in the season, yes, I believe Montana and Portland State are the best 2 teams in the Big Sky, but you just don't know what's happening on the other side of that bracket. We'll cover that game in a second between the Vandals of Idaho and the Eagles of Eastern Washington. First, again, we have the 1 versus 4 matchup, Portland State versus Montana. I'll tell you this tournament is really designed to help the number 1 and number 2 seeds. And I will go over this in a second with Idaho, because Idaho is a 7 and they beat the 2 seed. But the way the Big Sky tournament is structured, it is completely in favor of the 1 and 2s. Because the way they do this, Portland State and Montana State lost, but Portland State got to play on the 8th. So they got to play 2 days ago. They won. They beat Idaho State. It was a home game for Idaho State, and it was the second night of a back-to-back for Idaho State because they played in the play-in round, and then the way it goes, you have to play the very next day. You win a game, then you got to play the very next day against, obviously, Portland State. Portland State beats them. Now they get a day off, so they did not play yesterday, while Montana had to play a slugfest where they had to score 95 points against Northern Colorado. They won. They beat Chris Denker, and UNCO. They beat that team. But again, difficult spot. They score 95 points and they win it. But now it's the second night of a back-to-back for Montana. It's not for Portland State. Portland State got the day off yesterday. And again, every game up until the championship for Portland State, they're playing a team on a back-to-back. Well, technically in the championship they are too, but obviously they would be in the back-to-back. So again, the way the tournament is structured, and also, again, say Portland State wins this game and say EWU wins the other matchup, then okay, you're playing an EWU team who has to win 3 games in 3 days. That's the bonus you get for being the number 1 seed. You only have to play a back-to-back, while Eastern Washington has to play a triple header, basically. So that's what, that's the benefit you get for being the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed again, but especially the number 1 because obviously the number 2 here lost in Montana State. So Portland State versus Montana, I don't see how Portland State loses here. I know, again, they lost both regular season matchups to Montana, but the way Montana plays and the way Portland State wants to play too, I don't think Montana is able to keep up. They just played yesterday. They played a hard-fought game where they won. They lost their last regular season. Did I say Chris Denker? Quinn Denker. Quinn Denker, not Chris Denker. That's a YouTuber. Northern Colorado beat Montana at the end of the regular season, and then yesterday, obviously, it was reversed. Montana finally won against UNCO, what we can call them, or UNCO, whatever. University of Northern Colorado. They beat them 95-89. High-scoring game. Montana gets out to a hot start, and Northern Colorado puts their foot on the gas in the second half, makes it difficult. Montana's lead at one point, I think it was 17. It gets cut to 2 with 90 seconds to go. Montana pulls away. They ultimately win the game. Money Williams drops 40, and that's what we expect out of the guy who, player of the year last year in the Big Sky Conference. We've expected that out of Money Williams, right? He averages 20 points per game this season, but drops 40 when it matters the most. That's the guy tonight that you got to believe Portland State's going to be all over. The thing is, okay, Money Williams is great. Portland State's got a bunch of guys who can score. Jalen Henderson versus Money Williams is the matchup, right? Jalen Henderson, the one for Portland State. He's had a phenomenal year. He's averaging 18. And how about Terry Miller, who I think Terry Miller wins Player of the Year in the conference. I think he does. Maybe they give it to Money Williams. Isaiah Moses is good, but they won't give it to him. I think it's got to go to Terry Miller. I could be wrong about this, but I mean, him and Money Williams have very equal stats, but Terry Miller, his team, they were 16-2 in the conference, if I'm not mistaken. 13-5. 13-5 in the conference, 20-10 overall, and they got the number 1 seed. If I had a vote, it goes to Terry Miller over Money Williams, in my opinion. Terry Miller this season averaged 20 points per game, 6 boards, former La Tech product, second season at Portland State in his senior year. He, in the first round, or their first round of the playoffs or the tournament, 31 points and 10 rebounds in 33 minutes against the Idaho State Bengals. A great game for Terry Miller. But again, where Portland State gets you is there's way more than just Terry Miller. There's Jalen Henderson, obviously their point guard. There's Keon Kenzie Jr., who averages 11. I really like Trayvon Minot. You get different commentators saying different things. The Portland State commentator, though, if I'm not mistaken, says Minot. Minot's been really good. He averages 10 and 9, but dude, this dude is physical down low, senior out of Montreal. He's a very experienced college basketball player. He's been playing college basketball since 2020, started at South Carolina. This is now his third season at Portland State after 3 years over with the Gamecocks in Columbia. He's been great. There's no other way to put it. He has been phenomenal at Portland State this season. He commands the paint, is not going to score, but is going to get rebounds. We will see how many minutes he plays tonight, because the problem that Portland State has had all year long, and we have detailed it in full, they can't stay out of foul trouble. Now, here's the thing. That Idaho State game, a little bit questionable, because Idaho State always has the refs in their back pocket. And the Idaho teams have the refs in their back pocket in this tournament. I'm telling you, Idaho and Idaho State 100% do. Portland State was able to overcome that, although both Terry Miller and Trayvon Minot foul out. Trayvon Minot plays 17 minutes in that game because he's in foul trouble, and he fouls out still in 17 minutes. Sure, I think Connor Hollenbeck did foul out too for Idaho State, but whatever, right? Hollenbeck's their best guy over there. But still, Portland State was able to withstand that. Now, again, part of their foul trouble in the game against the Bengals was, Idaho referees, for some reason, it's like Hawaii. They love their hometown teams. They love their home state teams. It is very odd. On top of that, too, though, yes, Portland State they struggled all year long to stay out of foul trouble. And I'll tell you this, too. 50% of Portland State games, they get technical fouls. They'll get at least one. This team, and Terry Miller will do it. He's usually the guy who does do it. He will hit a shot. He's not a bad three-point shooter at all. He's a 40% three-point shooter. He'll hit a big three. He'll get in your face and say something right away. He'll say something. And we don't know what he says, obviously, because, you can't hear it over the broadcast usually. But he will hit a three, and he'll make you know that, he'll let you know that he did. So I'm just going to put that out there. There's going to be a point likely where they are going to get a technical foul. I just feel it. This is the game of the year for them. Yes, they have a championship game tomorrow if they win. Portland State's going to be a big favorite in the championship game tomorrow. I'll just tell you that. They're going to be a big favorite tomorrow if they win. Montana will be favored too. Regardless of who they play, Montana will be favored to win the thing tomorrow too. I'm not saying it's the true championship game, because Eastern Washington's a great team. Idaho's got players. This, though, does feel like, okay, winner's going to the dance. I'm going with Portland State. Best team in the regular season. I think Terry Miller's got a monster game. Minot just needs to stay out of foul trouble. And again, when I watch Portland State, I look and go, okay, 4 guys can hurt you. When I watch Montana, it's just Money Williams. And he makes up for it with scoring 40 points in their first round matchup. But there's no one else in this team that I'm wowed on other than him. Williams is phenomenal. He's a great player. Do not get me wrong. And he gets the free throw line. He attacks down low. He drives. He goes downhill. He goes 18 for 19 from the free throw line against Northern Colorado. Still, I like Portland State. I don't love the fact, again, you get a foul-heavy player versus a foul-heavy team. I'm still going to go with Portland State. I think they're able to outscore this team. And another additional factor that I think is massive, second night of a back-to-back for Montana. Portland State just got yesterday off. That is the bonus you get, and that is the extra thing you get for being the number 1 seed in the conference. So give me Portland State as we go to the other Big Sky semifinal game. I'm taking the underdogs in the Idaho Vandals to beat Eastern Washington. It is the second straight late night game for EWU. EWU had the late night game yesterday. They obviously get it yet again so they can have a full 24 hours, not in between games. They have a 24-hour gap between the start of yesterday's game and today's game. I'm going Idaho. So here's the thing in the Big Sky. If you are able to upset the 1 or 2 seed, I'm not saying you basically become the 1 seed, but to a sense you kind of do. It's what Idaho's done. Idaho, I'd argue you'd much rather be the 7 in this tournament than be the 6. I'd argue you'd rather be the 7 than the 4 or the 5. Just because of, yes, you have to play the 2, but the difference between 2 and 8 in this 2 and 6 in this tournament aren't that different. Hell, 2 and 7 aren't that different. 1, that's Portland State, that's trouble. But Idaho gets to play in the first round against Sacramento State. Yes, you got to play second night of a back-to-back, but you're able to overcome the 2 seed in Montana State, who's a little fraudulent, not going to lie, but they beat the Bobcats. And now here you go. You get a day off. You've got a whole day to prepare for EWU. I'm telling you, Eastern Washington's really beatable. This team's been really good this year. I've liked Eastern Washington. We've bet on Eastern Washington quite a bit. We've gone to this team all year. We have. After they beat Montana, we just started to go into EWU all the time. And Eastern Washington is on a run. They've won, I think, 9 out of their last 10 games. Who's the one team they lost to in that stretch? Idaho. Eastern Washington at the end of that first half yesterday against Weber State goes on, I believe, a 16-0 run, I think it was. Or 16-1 run. Weber State had one free throw. But EWU goes on a 16-1 run to close that first half and completely gives up all that momentum in the second half. Right away, Weber goes on a 9-0 run. I don't think Weber ever had the lead in that second half, but it's a 2-point game for legitimately, the final 6 minutes of that game. And Eastern Washington hits their free throws. They find a way to pull it out. Again, I give a lot of respect to that team. That's the problem, though. You had to play a game down to the wire last night, and by the time their game ended, 21 hours later, you got to play another game. And you got to play a team that got all of yesterday off. Yeah, they played a back-to-back prior to that. They got through it. And now, again, basically, Idaho assumes that number 2 seed. They get the perks that the original number 2 seed in Montana State was supposed to get. And sure, that's Idaho's reward for winning back-to-back games in back-to-back days. They blow out Sacramento State, and they beat Montana State. I love the spot for Idaho. And oh, by the way, Idaho's beaten Eastern Washington twice this season. They beat him in Idaho, and they beat him over in Cheney Washington, in Eastern Washington as well. First matchup, 84-81 victory for the Vandals at home at EWU. Last home game for EWU this year, 85-81 win for Idaho. High-paced game, fast-paced game. Who does that favor more? Like the Portland State-Montana game, who does it favor more? The team that played yesterday, the team that got a day off? It's the team that got the day off. Idaho has won both the games against EWU this season. Eastern Washington's got some really good players, but, again, Isaiah Moses, what a year he's had. Comes from the cesspool, obviously, UC Riverside. He escapes the cesspool and now, obviously, is dominating for Eastern Washington. He had a great game. He had the game sealing and won, essentially, against Weber yesterday. Scores 22 points in the victory. Again, he's had a great year as the senior out of Anchorage, Alaska. But it's a second out of a back-to-back. And the way EWU plays, you don't want to be on a second out of a back-to-back, but of course you're forced to. I'm just telling you, Idaho can match this team shot for shot. They don't have the levels of scorers. Like, again, I don't look at Idaho and say, oh, they don't have a guy like Isaiah Moses. Alden Hamilton's good, but they don't have an Isaiah Moses. I'll tell you that. They just have an all-around team effort, and a bunch of guys are going to score. It's going to be Jackson Rasmussen. It's going to be Colton Mitchell, who was their lead scorer. No, it wasn't Colton Mitchell in their last game. It was, who led them in scoring against Montana State. It was, it was Biko Johnson. My apologies. It was the other point guard. They are able to go to a bunch of guys, and that's the thing with this team. Okay, Biko Johnson averages 13. Jackson Rasmussen averages 14. Colton Mitchell averages 14. You don't know who's going to go off and, kill you on a night, right? It's just, look at Colton Mitchell. He has 17 points in the first round matchup against Sac State. Next night, he has 4. Jackson Rasmussen, first game is 19, then he's got 11 against Montana State. Okay, yeah, Biko Johnson picks him up for 19 in the Montana State game after only scoring 10 against Sac State. They have a bunch of guys who can score. They're not reliant on one player, and it's kind of like we were talking about earlier, obviously, with Montana taking on Portland State. Now, here's the thing. Again, I like EWU a lot. I really do. I just think stylistically this game sucks for them. Now, don't get me wrong. The winner of this game is going to lose the next round. Like, regardless if that's Montana or if that's obviously Portland State, we expect that to be the Vikings. I think the winner of this game is out next round. I don't think the winner of Idaho and EWU is going dancing this year. And if you know about Eastern Washington, right, they had such a crappy start to their year. They lost their first 12 games, was it? They lost, what was it? They lost their first, against Division I opponents, they lost their first 7, it was. Overestimated a little bit. But they went into the Montana game 2-13 is what I'm getting at. And they beat Montana, and they completely turned around their year from there. They are obviously right now, 15-8, 14-18? They've turned it around. But the way that they play, it doesn't match up stylistically with the way that Idaho plays. They're both going to want to play fast. Idaho's already beat them both times this season with regular rest going into the game. And now, Eastern Washington's got to play 21 hours after winning last night. Idaho's had a full day off. They already went through the grind of winning on back-to-back days. And sure, EWU looks to become that team today, but I think Idaho gets them. I think Idaho gets a team that, yes, it really feels like they are dependent on just a couple players sometimes. It's the truth. I mean, again, it's Isaiah Moses. He's great. Alton Hamilton yesterday had a really good game, hit some big-time threes, scored 25. He had a monster day. Emmett Marcourt had some big moments, I'll say. But, I mean, other than that, look at the scoring spread for EWU. It's 25 points out of Alton Hamilton. It's 22 out of Isaiah Moses. And then 12 out of Johnny Radford, 9 out of Marcourt. I mean, their other 3 starters only scored a combined 3 points. Idaho's going to attack you from all angles. Idaho's got guys up and down the lineup that, well, that's like a baseball term, but they got players up and down the rotation that can score on you. I'm going to go Idaho here. I think it's a phenomenal spot at plus money. Also, do need to say it, the refereeing is going to be a lot more on the side of Idaho. We've watched this tournament. Big Sky refs, I don't know if I want to say Big Sky refs. The refs in Idaho, and we've seen this throughout the year with both the Vandals and the Bobcats, the Bengals, they love the home teams. They do. They love the home teams. I'm just saying that might come into effect here. That's all I'm going to say. It might come into effect. I'm not completely sure how far, to be honest with you. I don't know my Idaho geography. I don't know how far Moscow, Idaho is from Boise. I think, Moscow's in the middle of absolutely nowhere, but I'm pretty sure it's like on the border. Is it? Let's see. Oh, it is on the border of that in Washington. So they're kind of in the same spot as EWU is in comparison to Boise, Idaho. Regardless, it does not matter. Does not matter. They have the Idaho name. I'm telling you, officiating this season for both Idaho and Idaho State have always gone towards the side of the Idaho teams. That's an added bonus. We will take it. I'm taking the Idaho Vandals to win this game at home in Idaho, even though they're like equal distance to Boise than EWU is, kind of, maybe like an hour shorter. Still, I'm going to go Idaho to win. I think it's the difference. The difference is they didn't have to play yesterday and Eastern Washington did. They both want to play the same style of game. They both are quick teams that want to run. This is going to favor the team that did not play yesterday and again, now gets the perks of being a number 2 seed in which they upset and defeated in their second round matchup. I'm going with the Idaho Vandals in a high-scoring game to beat the Eastern Washington Eagles. If you want to look at pure records this year, obviously Big Sky records go in favor of EWU. Idaho went 19-14 this year, or is 19-14. EWU is 14-18. Again, the Eagles have a skewed record because they couldn't win a non-con game to save their lives. I'm going to go with the Vandals here. I think the matchup is perfect for them. Idaho advances to the Big Sky Championship game to take on the Portland State Vikings. That'll do it now for the best bets portion of the video. We're going to go over all the conference tournaments now. But again, that does it for our best bets. Really like the opportunities today. Again, let's really hope we can turn this thing around. Again, I really love the spots. I think, yeah, we're going to have a great day. Let's hope. Let's speak it into existence, right? Okay. Let's talk about the tournaments, right? So we're going to kick things off first with the Big 12 tournament. Okay, that's nice. We're staring at a blank screen. Here we go. We're going to start with the Big Sky tournament. As we've got Cincinnati, Utah, Arizona State, Baylor, BYU, K-State, and Colorado, Oklahoma State all playing in the first round. Obviously, all the power conferences, everyone makes the tournaments. So we did not cover the Big 12 at all today just because I don't think there's value in any of these games. I'll be honest with you. Cincinnati, Utah, Cincinnati wins by 15. Okay? I think Cincinnati is going to go on a run. I think they're going to beat UCF. UCF sucks. Nobody's telling me otherwise. They'll get in the tourney, but they suck. I think Cincinnati's going to go and play Arizona where they'll probably lose, but they're going to work their way really into a discussion. Okay, are the Bearcats a tournament team? Because if they beat Utah, which they will, and if they beat UCF, which I think they will as well, which hopefully we get good money on that or good value on that tomorrow, where do you put this team? Because they should be in the tournament, I think, if they win these two games. We shall see, though. ASU, Baylor. ASU's the higher seed. They're an underdog today. I don't know. ASU fired their coach. Again, Mo Udom in postseason tournaments last year at Pepperdine. He was great. Can he be great for ASU this season? Potentially. I thought about going plus 3.5 for Arizona State. I decided to lay off it. It was in consideration today. I just didn't love the 9:30 start time, not going to lie to you, especially with a West Coast team playing at 9:30. Don't love it. I will go Arizona State hesitantly to beat Baylor. I'm not sold on Baylor. I think ASU can pull something out of their ass here, but I wouldn't bet it. BYU K-State, yeah, AJ DeBonis is playing the first day of Big 12 tournament play, which is unbelievable. They'll beat Kansas State. Do I have belief that they can beat WVU? No. Colorado, Oklahoma State. Give me Colorado. That's an even game. I'm going to go Colorado. Neither team's beating Texas Christian, who I don't think is that great either, but TCU will beat both those teams. That's what we have in the Big 12 today. Obviously, more tomorrow. Who's favored to win this thing? Obviously, the Wildcats. But yeah, this is a great conference. These top 5, anybody can win it. So we shall see. Next up, the SWAC. We continue with the SWAC today. So obviously, yesterday, both Alabama State and Mississippi Valley State got eliminated. So today, we move on to the second round, where obviously same teams that won yesterday have to win yet again. Prairie View now plays Alcorn State. Alabama State sucks ass, and Alcorn pulled one out of their ass. So Prairie View is going to win. Jackson State versus Grambling State. Grambling's a favorite, and I believe it. Like, I know why they should be. Jackson State's so bad compared to their record. Grambling should win. I think Grambling advances, and I think Prairie View eliminates Alcorn. So Grambling gets to go on a little bit of a run. They have to play again tomorrow. They'll play Florida A&M, and then that means Prairie View gets to play Bethune-Cookman. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, I'm going Grambling, and I'm going Prairie View. Next up, we go to the ACC. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we've literally talked about pretty much every single game so far. Again, we picked Stanford. We picked SMU. That's our two-leg parlay to start the day. VTech, Wake Forest. I think VTech should win. Wake Forest is not very good. VTech's like minus 145 on the money line. It's kind of playable, but I decided against it. They should win. Absolutely need to get it. If they beat Clemson, they should be in the tournament. So again, these three teams that are playing today all have the chance to work their way into the tournament, or obviously take a step closer to being in the tournament. So I think they all win. VTech, Stanford, and SMU. We'll cross more of this bridge when we get there tomorrow. Some good games. Florida State, Cal, whatever. But I mean, there's some good games, obviously, with these three teams, hopefully all trying to win yet another game to solidify themselves as tournament teams here in 2026. Next up, the Big Ten. We have two games today in the Big Ten Conference as Oregon takes on Maryland, my goodness. And Northwestern takes on Penn State. I'm going to go Oregon to beat Maryland. I would not trust a Nate Biddle-led team just because it's Oregon. But they've been playing better towards the second half of the year. Really, the last sixth of the year. That's one way to put it, but that's the truth. I'm going to go Oregon to beat Maryland. I would not bet the game. Northwestern versus Penn State. I would go Northwestern here. I hope Penn State wins so the Hoosiers get Penn State instead of Nick Martinelli. It's gonna be Northwestern. And then I'm scared for Indiana tomorrow. I'll be honest, I am. I think they should win. Are they gonna beat Purdue? Probably not. But hey, the Hoosiers are undefeated in the United Center this year. That's obviously where this tournament is. They're undefeated. They beat Marquette earlier this year in Chicago, so maybe they continue to win here. I don't know. Oregon and Northwestern win. Tomorrow we get a lot more involved, obviously, in this crazy Big Ten tournament. The American East is now today. Second round, obviously, all on campus sites. UMBC beat New Hampshire. UMass Lowell beat Albany, so now they meet in the second round. Home team should win. I've been firmly expecting UMBC to win this thing. I think Vermont might stand a chance, but UMBC is going to beat UMass Lowell. They'll take down the Hawks. Vermont versus the Riverhawks. Vermont versus NJIT. NJIT just completely screwed themselves with their last 5 games of the regular season. They were going to be the 1 seed. They were going to have to make everyone go through New Jersey, but they started losing at home, so here they are. They're playing Vermont now. They're 12.5-point dogs in the road. Yeah, the Catamounts should win this game with their center, who's like very kind of athletic, but doesn't look athletic for his build. But regardless, Vermont should win. Vermont should win that game. I don't think it's going to be that close, I'll be honest with you. The Institute of Technology got by the Maine Black Bears by 2 points in the first round. Vermont beat Bryant by 20, who won the tournament last year. So we should see 1 versus 2 in the championship game. I think UMBC would then beat Vermont, but we'll cross that bridge again when we get there. Next up, Conference USA. Already talked about the first matchup, FIU versus Missouri State. We're taking the Bears. Jacksonville State versus New Mexico State. Gonna go New Mexico State. I'm gonna go low seed in this one. Of course, Jacksonville State the season first year without Jerron Pierre scored like 20 points per game last year for them, 20 plus points per game for them last year. Jacksonville State is at home in Alabama, but I think New Mexico State can pull it off. No, check that. We're gonna go Jacksonville State. They're at home. I thought about that. A team from New Mexico is not coming into Alabama and beating a team from Alabama. Give me Jacksonville State. Their game's been close. Jacksonville State won the last one in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I wouldn't bet it, but yeah, I'll take the Gamecocks. Again, my confidence is not high on it because, again, it's a 50-50 game. But give me both Missouri State and Jacksonville State to advance to the second round tomorrow, where they'll play, obviously, Liberty and Sam Houston. Coastal Atlantic Championship today, Monmouth versus Hofstra. Monmouth with a great game yesterday against Campbell. I mean, the second half of the first half, and that entire second half was just beautiful from the Monmouth Hawks. Hofstra with a crazy overtime bank buzzer-beating win against Townsend. The Tigers are playing great basketball, trying to get into their first NCAA tournament. Hofstra first CAA championship. Hofstra beats them. They now get Monmouth. I'm going Monmouth, though. Great run for Hofstra. I've been thinking they're going to win this entire thing. I watched that game yesterday against Townsend. Townsend's good. I think Monmouth can get this team. Monmouth looked good defensively yesterday. Jason Rivera Torres. I like Monmouth. I think they can beat Hofstra. Hofstra to play an overtime game in extra time. I'm going Monmouth to take this one and win the CAA and move on to the NCAA tournament. Southland tourney down to 4, the 4 we expected. Stephen F. Austin versus Texas A&M Corpus Christi. McNeese versus UT Rio Grande Valley. Nothing surprising. Stephen F. Austin and McNeese win. Simplest way to put it. 2 high seeds win. McNeese, Stephen F. Austin tomorrow at McNeese. McNeese is probably winning this thing like we've always thought. But yeah, 2 high seeds win. We're going to get the matchup we've thought we're going to get. Stephen F. Austin and McNeese tomorrow night. Finally, the NEC Conference. We are down to the championship game here. LIU versus Mercyhurst. LIU has already clinched a spot in the NCAA tournament, so I will tell you, Mercyhurst's spread is definitely playable because I don't know how much the Sharks really care, but they are at home, fins up in Brooklyn, and crowds kind of decent. Again, they do the fins up thing. The players are even doing it now while their guys are at the free throw line. It's hilarious. I'll go Sharks to win, but I think Mercyhurst does cover. This game means a lot more to Mercyhurst than it does LIU. Although LIU with the wins trying to avoid the first four, but I do think LIU's metrics and their, where they are in the net rankings in KenPom, they're a lot higher than these other teams that might find themselves in the 16 versus 16 in Dayton. So I think LIU's actually in regardless as a 15 or potentially the 16s that miss Dayton. But a win over Mercyhurst, I think, to me, guarantees they're not playing in Dayton. But I also want to say, some teams kind of rather play in Dayton, though. Because, okay, LIU's not going to beat Duke. They won't play Duke. LIU's not going to beat... They're not going to beat Florida. So why not go play in Dayton and get to play... I don't know. Who's going to be in Dayton? Go get to play... Let's say the SWAC winner or the MEAC winner. Who's going to win the SWAC? Probably Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman might be a straight 16. Whatever. Regardless, LIU. I think if I'm LIU, I would rather play Bethune-Cookman in the first four than automatically just play Florida. And I know, then that means Michigan's waiting for you next round. Who cares? Go and win a tournament game. I'd rather go out and get to hang a banner saying I won in the first four rather than we got our ass kicked by 40. Like that's gonna happen regardless, most likely, unless you're UMBC. Or FDU. That's gonna happen regardless, right? Losing in the first round of the tournament. Go play in the first four and win. Obviously, it's not, the teams don't get to decide that, but I'm just saying, if I'm LIU, that's what I'd rather have. I think they're going to beat Mercyhurst. I'll go Mercyhurst to cover, though. Again, wouldn't bet it, but that's just how that is. Again, LIU's already in the tournament because Mercyhurst is still coming up and through the transition period of going D2 to D1. So, again, they are not eligible for the NCAA tournament, which is a stupid rule, but it is what it is. Fins up, Sharks are already in the tournament. Folks, that does it for our college basketball best bets here on March 10th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for more daily college basketball best bets and more conference tournament previews with the Big East and the SEC starting tomorrow. Fun stuff. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.